The following video contains spoilers to the Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker Main Scenario Questline. If you would prefer to remain blind and experience the story for yourself, then stop watching now. This will be your only warning. Cid reaches out to let you know that the warding scales have been fully reinforced, meaning the time has come for your party to begin their expedition into the 13th Shard. Your party meets at the Great Work with the now finished Atomos and make ready to depart, but not before receiving a couple of gifts. The alchemists of Thavnair have banded together to prepare a more combat-suitable body for Ritra to use as a vessel, which he gladly accepts. Y'shtola also has a surprise for you, passed on to her by Urianger from the Loporrits. It's the crystal that guided you to Meteion in Ultima Thule, and Y'shtola can't think of anyone more deserving of it than Heidelin's champion. You return to Alzadal's Legacy, where the makeshift Atomos absorbs the Void Gate, granting you passage into the world of darkness beyond. You arrive in the Fell Court of Troia, where you are confronted by Scarmiglione. Yes, I know that's not how you pronounce his name, hush. Who introduces himself as the Archfiend of Earth and one of Golbez's Circle of Four. Despite his boasts, you're still able to emerge victorious. Recognizing your strength, the remaining Voidsent of Troia begrudgingly allow you to use their castle as a base of operations while on the Shard. While investigating the castle in the aftermath of your battles, you stumble upon a prisoner in the castle dungeons, who you recognize as the Voidsent bound to Xenos when he became a Reaper. As you speak, your Crystal of Light reacts to the Voidsent, causing them to change into a more human form. You move outside, where the Voidsent tells you of an ancient war, the Contra Memoria. The war was so terrible it engulfed the entire Shard in darkness, resulting in the ruined world you currently stand in. She also claims that she is only part Voidsent, as she had not yet been born when the Flood of Darkness consumed the 13th. Realizing you have yet to be formally introduced, your party asks for the Voidsent's name, but she claims that she does not have one. Y'shtola suggests that you name the Voidsent Zero, which she accepts with some amusement. As payment for sharing information, Zero requests that you pay her an ether, which Y'shtola agrees to provide. However, you are caught off guard when a very alive Scarmiglione ambushes you again within the castle walls. He reveals that Voidsent cannot die so easily, as the darkness consuming the 13th prevents their souls from finding rest, which means that they can return indefinitely unless their ether is absorbed by another living being. To prove his point, he summons more Voidsent to attack you, raising them from the dead each time you defeat them. Scarmiglione quickly proves to be a far trickier foe than your initial encounter suggested, prompting Y'shtola to ask a nearby Zero to help you fight the Archfiend. Zero begrudgingly agrees, claiming it as repayment for naming her, and jumps into the battle. This immediately turns the tide of battle in your favor, as she is able to seal any Voidsent she defeats within a small prison of crystal, which prevents them from resurrecting. As Zero lands the final blow on Scarmiglione, he refers to her ability as Memoria, before he himself is sealed within a crystal prison. Following his defeat, the Echo brings a vision to you, where you witness Golbez recruiting his 4 elemental archfiends. In order to win over their loyalty, Golbez presents them with a gift, a captured Azdaja, inviting the 4 Voidsent to drink their fill of her ether. As he watches, Golbez comments that the 4 Archfiends cannot even begin to drain the dragon of all of her ether, and he begins to plot on what other uses he may have for her in the future. Back in the present, you share what you've just learned with your group, causing Varshon to become increasingly worried about his sister. Now looking to hasten your search for Azdaja, you decide to ask the Voidsent around the castle for any more information on Golbez. Unfortunately, you learn that Golbez mostly operates in the shadows, instead relying upon his 4 archfiends to command his massive armies of Voidsent. As a result, this means that your best hope of reaching Golbez will be to defeat his remaining 3 archfiends, a task easier said than done. With a little additional nudging, Zero agrees to help you hunt them down, and offers to take you to her domain so that you may question the inhabitants there for additional information. Zero explains that her domain is a refuge of sorts for herself and other outcasts Voidsent, some of whom may have served the Archfiends in the past and may possibly have vital information. Unfortunately, you don't get a good opportunity to learn too much, as your investigation is interrupted by the arrival of the Archfiend of Wind, Barbarecia. Recognizing Varshon as another dragon, she confidently challenges you to confront her in her own domain if you wish to learn more about Azdaja. Though the trap is very obvious to everyone, she is sadly your best lead to tracking down Golbez, so you decide to accept her challenge. Zero and the others fend off the onslaught of Voidsent circling the skies above the domain, while you land on the island itself so that you may confront Barbarecia directly, using Azem's crystal to summon allies to join your battle. Real talk though, I still find it both really cool, but also really funny that we have a plot-relevant way to assemble our parties of 8 now. Although you emerge victorious, her defeat yields no new information on Azdaja, much to Varshon's sadness. All the same, you've now relinquished to Golbez of 2 of his 4 most powerful warriors, dealing a very heavy blow to your new enemy. But before you can celebrate, Zero collapses in front of you, having depleted her ether severely in the battle. Not wanting to leave a defenseless Zero behind on the 13th, you decide to take her back to the source with you until she regains consciousness. Back in Radz-At-Han, you leave Zero to rest, as the natural ether surrounding her on the source should allow for a slow but natural recovery. Sure enough, it's not too long before she reawakens, and as a way of thanking you, Zero decides to tell you more of the Contra Memoria. Much like they did on the source, the Ascians once visited the 13th and spread knowledge of summoning primals all throughout the Shard. Over time, several warriors appeared with the ability of Memoria to combat the primal threat, able to confine the primals into crystal shards. Known as Memoriates, they were able to triumph over the primals, only to eventually embrace the very darkness they had set forth to combat. Thus did the 13th become consumed in a flood of darkness, consuming the entire Shard. As Zero is rapidly becoming a more steadfast ally, Y'shtola decides to explain to her the truth behind the history of the Source and its 13 shards. As the 13th was never rejoined to the Source, Y'shtola believes it might be possible to someday restore the Shard in much a similar way that you did with the first. While Zero doesn't express too much excitement at this idea, she does wind up agreeing to remain your ally so long as you continue your search for Azdaja. Golbez, on the other hand, is far from thrilled, knowing full well that having lost 2 of his archfiends means that his plans could very much be at risk. To calm their master down, the 2 remaining archfiends agree to work together on a plan to deal with your party. Golbez coldly informs them that failure is no longer an option, as his plans for war must reach fruition no matter the cost. Once alone, Golbez reminisces on the past as he states that the time for his retribution is nearly at hand.
The gate lies open. At long last, my ambition shall be fulfilled!